How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and today we're going to answer a question that I've gotten thousands and thousands of times, and that is, how much did it cost to rebuild my wrecked McLaren 675 LT? So in this episode, I'm going to tally up everything and how much everything cost, and that price is going to be, well, let's just say that if you've ever had an argument with your significant other about the cost of your project cars, then have them watch this video, because I guarantee you that this is going to be the most expensive project car you've ever seen. I really hope my wife doesn't see this. So if you guys are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy it, and consider subscribing if these are the kinds of cars and projects you like to see. I owe you a thanks. I owe everybody watching right now a big thank you, because when I unveiled this project as a finished car, I said all the proceeds from my McNugget shirt were going to go towards Ben Thorne's recovery from COVID. Ben Thorne, of course, is a friend of mine, and he's also on the Gears and Gasoline channel, and he's had a very rough go of it, but I'm very happy to say that he is now out of the hospital. He's doing things on his own. He's not 100%, but that money is gonna go towards him having a better life and hopefully a better Christmas. And you guys really delivered, because we raised over $36,000. I am so grateful to every one of you that bought a shirt and hopefully got a piece of this car. Now, I am not giving away any more pieces of this project, but I am doing one more thing that's really, really special, and we can actually help a very good person, a very good car lover, and this is very, very personal to me. So just give me 30 seconds, okay? Hold on. So let me tell you a story about a guy named David. David is a car guy. David is an awesome, awesome dude, would give you the shirt off his back, and he is a neighbor of mine and a very, very good friend. Now, him and his wife have always been super accommodating to me and my wife and my daughter, and it was very heartbreaking to know that he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Now, David is the kind of guy that even if he has this severe illness kind of over his head, he doesn't let that stop him. He's always in a good mood, and he's really happy, and he's an inspiration to anybody going through tough times in their life. So David also has a talent, and that talent was born because when he was diagnosed, he couldn't do anything physical anymore, so he had to stay home and keep his mind occupied. And it turns out he was really good at painting. He has fantastic artworks of the local scenery and interesting people. And I asked him to make some artwork with this as the subject, and he delivered. Look at that. So this is actually not the original. This is a print, and you can see how good this print looks. It's on really thick paper, and the colors are so true to life. I made sure that these colors were as sharp as possible. Let's see if we can see how good that looks. So I have made 500 copies of this print, and that is available right now on my Bunker branding store. I'm not making any more, and every single dollar that goes from there is going straight to David, because I know that my community, that you guys can help out somebody in need, can help out somebody that is very deserving, and can help out somebody that loves cars just as much as I do. This is amazing, and I will be auctioning off the original at some point. I don't know, but these are gonna go fast, so I urge you to please go and buy this. These are 35 bucks, which is actually a little bit less than you'd spend on a high quality print like this normally, but I wanted to make sure that all of you got something, not necessarily a piece of the car, but a piece of the soul of the project, and something to help the life of a person that really, really deserves it. And this goes without saying, but thank you in advance. All right, so let's begin. We're gonna start from the front to the back. And the way I'm gonna do it is, at the end, when I tally up everything, we're gonna go on Auto Tempest and find out if I could actually buy a used version of one of these cars for what I paid to rebuild this one. Not really looking forward to that, but it's okay. So initial purchase price of this car was $80,000. I bought this from a listing on Auto Tempest. And if you guys don't know what Auto Tempest is, it is the best way to look for your next car. Nearly all of my cars have been purchased using Auto Tempest. I'm on it every single day. It combines nearly every major car search platform and puts it into one easy search. Now, you guys definitely need to go check it out because there are deals to be had even right now, even in today's crazy car market, but you can also refine your searches. So if you want a 675 LT, but with the roof scoop, you can look for it, except for the fact that I don't think there are any on the market right now. But hopefully our Auto Tempest search at the end of the episode has me still in the black. Fingers crossed on that one. Let's start with the initial purchase price, which is 80 grand. Then shipping to get it over here, that was $2,500. I wanted to get a enclosed shipper, even though it didn't really matter. I mean, everything was gonna get replaced anyway. I didn't know what the actual condition of the car was, so I need to make sure that it wasn't gonna fall apart in shipping. Then we have the front bumper. This front bumper was used and it was also in an accident. Now the accident was not very major. It was just a little bit of cracking right here. So this all got replaced and repaired, but this was $2,500. Just this piece, by the way, not this. We're gonna talk about this right now. This is the front splitter. I had to get this brand new from McLaren and that was $14,000. This piece that goes all across and is only on the McLaren 675 LT. Then we have the fender. We replaced this fender and that was 1,500 bucks. Then we have the front carbon pieces, these guys right here. So the splitter actually doesn't come with this or this or this right here or this. It doesn't come with anything really. So all that stuff was another $2,500. And in here, it's not any less expensive. Now I've taken off some of this stuff just so I can show you what I'm talking about. This battery is not like any other battery. This battery, if you got it from the dealer, it would be about $3,500. I got that used for $1,500, which is still way more than I've ever paid for a battery. But this is what McLaren requires, so that's what my McLaren got. Underneath the battery is something you can't see, and that is the front subframe. My car had a front subframe that was just out of whack. I mean, it was like a 1/4 inch high on that side because that's where it got the accident. So I needed a new one, and that was new from McLaren because 675 LTs have different subframes than the 650S. So that was $3,500. Now all the brackets and stuff, that was all trash. So those brackets that just hold the tub in and hold a bunch of wires and harnesses in, that was another $1,000. Now over here is something quite interesting because underneath here on either side is what's called a cooling pack. And the cooling pack essentially is a radiator that's just sandwiched in between some vents. And I wanted to make sure that that was new, so if I saw a crack or anything in those plastic vents, I replaced them. So I got 2 brand new cooling packs, and the cooling packs were $3,000. So just in the front end alone, not counting any bodywork or paint, this would have been the price of a moderately well-equipped BMW. But we aren't done yet. Not by a long shot. I also ended up replacing this frame rail, not because it was bent or anything, but because when it had an accident, this kind of pushed itself in and created a crease in the frame rail just at the front. It wasn't anything other than cosmetic. I'm sure the frame rail would have been fine, but I knew it was there. And knowing that this car has damage that is underneath the skin really didn't sit right with me. So that meant that I had to get a brand new frame rail, and that frame rail was $600. Now I had the driver's side frame rail, but I also got the front bash bar, so that was another $500. And if we close this up, you'll notice that I have a McLaren emblem here, and this McLaren emblem was $250 because I was gonna make my own emblem, but it turns out making your own emblem out of plastic and vinyl really doesn't look good. So I got this OEM McLaren emblem actually shipped to me overnight before SEMA. So I put this on at the very last minute, but this was a pretty penny at 250 bucks. And up here, you'll notice that there's a windshield that isn't cracked. And this was actually pretty hard to find, but it wasn't that expensive. So this is a used windshield from a 650S. Very technically, the 675 LT has a lighter windshield, like it's very slightly thinner. But honestly, I didn't really care. I'm not gonna get a 675 LT windshield, and I'm not trying to eke every last gram and every last pound out of this car. I want this to be a really nice experience car, not necessarily the lightest thing in the world. So this glass was totally fine, but it cost me $700, which is actually not so bad considering that this is McLaren OEM glass, but all the gaps are good, it doesn't leak, so it's good to go. Now coming to the side of the car, there was a lot of work done here as well. So these wheels and tires are not stock to the car. Well, they are and they aren't. So this is the ultra lightweight 10-spoke wheel, but my car initially came with the 5-spoke super lightweight wheel, and my wheels were trash. I mean, they are completely worthless. So much, in fact, that they are now furniture because I can't fix them at all. They are completely curbed beyond belief. And I got these and then powder coated them for $3,500, which is actually not that much considering how much these cost new. They're like $10,000 new. I got these as a used set that needed a little bit of work, but I had them stripped and powder coated, and then I put some brand new Michelin PS4S tires, which were $1,800. Now coming back here is a carbon fiber mirror. I didn't have carbon mirrors originally. These were $2,500. These side skirts, just the two, it doesn't even have like this part because this is a whole different part. These were $3,500. So let me tell you something about buying a car that they only made 500 of. Don't do it. But all that stuff sort of pales in comparison to this. This is a carbon roof with an integrated roof scoop. This was the last one in the world that wasn't directly coming from McLaren. I had to get this used, and McLaren definitely wouldn't do anything with my car because as soon as a car is salvaged, McLaren basically doesn't care about it anymore. So I got this, and it didn't matter what it cost, but just so you guys know, this roof, this one-piece roof, was $9,000. And it also needed a piece underneath to go into the interior. That piece was $3,500, and then I had to actually mechanically connect the roof scoop to the air boxes, and that was another $300. So if you want to change the air path to go from here to here on your McLaren, be ready to spend 5 figures if you're doing it yourself. And if you were gonna go through McLaren themselves and they had to do all this, then it would be upwards of 100 grand. Wish I was working on a Honda. But back here is what makes an LT an LT. This long tail I had to buy used because buying new was crazy, crazy expensive. This still was not cheap. It was 5 grand for this. I also needed the entire rear bumper section. This, as you can expect, does not come with any of the trim. So it doesn't come with any of the grills, the emblems, this. So before putting any work into this, before putting any paint and body, this was $3,500. In addition, I had to buy the grills, I had to buy the trim. That all was upwards of $5,000. But here's one of my favorite parts of the car, and that is the amazing custom interior that I had styled after the McLaren F1. This was made by E3 Customs, specifically Matt from E3 Customs, and everything on this interior was touched. There's nothing that was left stock. I think this might have been just left stock, but everything else was reupholstered and reimagined, and it looks fantastic. So we have English tan here with contrast stitching, matching Alcantara, and a two-tone black and tan on the dash. And we also have a custom gauge cluster made by Lumisthetic. And the center console is made with tinted carbon. I put gold accents there, and everything here has been done to the highest standard. And it also came with a pretty high price. Not high when you consider the amount of work that is done here, but just high in general in absolute terms. The interior work was $17,000. The gauge cluster was $600 because I wanted a few different options. And then the rest, well, we'll get into that when we get into paint and body, but that was quite a bill. Okay, now let's talk about the stuff you can't see, the stuff underneath all the bodywork, because this wasn't a mechanically perfect car. This wasn't running or driving, and it was in really, really bad shape. So let me rattle off some prices to you. I had to get new airbags for the doors because those were missing. Somebody actually stole those from the auction lot. And then I had to get a new airbag for the passenger because these cars actually had a recall for the airbags, and I wasn't gonna take this to the dealer, and since everything was out already, I just ordered a new one. The airbags were $1,200, which is actually not too bad for 3 brand new from McLaren airbags. We have the fender liners. I replaced those. A lot of people don't replace those when they do a rebuild like this, but the fender liners are $300, pretty reasonable. Then we have the exhaust. I got an OEM McLaren titanium exhaust, and it was brand new, so that means that when I drive this car hard, it's gonna turn purple and all these sorts of really cool colors. So that was $3,500, and I got a really good deal on that because brand new, those are around $8 grand. Now the downpipes, I replaced mine with catless versions from FabSpeed, and those were $2,900. Then we have the turbos. I had to rebuild the turbos in this car because when this thing hit, it went backwards into a tree and it smashed the engine and the drivetrain into the firewall and it destroyed one of the turbos. So since I'm rebuilding one, I might as well upgrade a little bit, right? So those turbos to rebuild and upgrade were $3,000. I had to get these parking sensors. There's 2 in the front and 4 in the back. So those were about $400. Again, not too bad because they share cross compatibility with some Mercedes models. I had to get another transmission, so that's fun. So the transmission in this took the brunt of the hit, and it was probably okay, but it really didn't look all that good, and it's been ingesting water for the better part of 3 years at the lots. So I wanted to make sure that my transmission was okay, so I got a used one for a very low price. Actually, I got it for $2 grand, which is for this car like super cheap. Then I had to replace my axles, which were $800 because the axles were completely torn apart on this. Then I had to get the secondary air injection pumps, which are an emissions thing. Those were $150. The engine cover, the carbon fiber engine cover for the 675 LT, that's $800. And the rear subframe I had to replace, the entire subframe, because obviously if this thing takes a very bad hit, which it did, it's gonna fold the subframe like a piece of paper. So the rear subframe I got used from a McLaren 650S. That needed slight modification, but it definitely worked for our purposes here, and that was $3,500. I also bought miscellaneous hardware. So one kind of pro tip that you can do is you can go on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or wherever, and you can get like just loose hardware from the car that you're working on, and that way you'll have the OEM bolts and screws and different sizes and all that stuff that you'll need, and it's only going to cost you, I mean, it cost me around $350, but that $350 prevented me from having to go to the dealership or anything for any sort of specialty bolts. And that way I know that every bolt going on this car is OEM McLaren. The rear view camera that was completely broken in the accident was $400. I had to replace one of the doors. That was $1,200. So miscellaneous paint and materials was $1,500. And that is not including the actual paint and bodywork of this car. I mean, like, the panel bond, I mean the glue, I mean the gold paint that I used for the interior, if trim needed to be painted black, all that stuff, that ended up being $1,500. That panel bond was quite expensive. We have miscellaneous trim and brackets. That was $2,500. Just random trim that just happened to be broken or in bad shape. I replaced all of that, and it was not cheap. Miscellaneous hoses and piping, that was $1,000. Then we have the gold plating that was in the back. So the shield that goes above the exhaust, that was gold plated. And if McLaren would have done it from the factory, it would have been $25,000. So I saved 90+% on doing it myself. And it was not an easy process. The guy that did the gold plating, he did an amazing job. I mean, it's still not perfect, but it's an aluminum thing, and to gold plate aluminum, it can be quite tricky because first you have to nickel plate it, and there's a big process there. And that is a big part. Actually, it's 2 big pieces. So that was $2,100. The vinyl accents, these guys, that was $1,100 for labor and materials. Then we come to the big boys, which is the carbon repair work, and that price actually isn't as big as some of the prices we're talking about, But the carbon repair was instrumental in getting this thing back on the road because the carbon tub was compromised, and Joey the frame doctor, he ended up doing the carbon repair in an amazing way, and actually in an amazing time frame. He only did it in a few weeks. So that was $5,000, and that's actually more than he charged me, but I wanted to make sure that he was taken care of. Then we come to the paint and body work. And fam, I hope you're sitting down, because the paint and body work, not only did they strip everything down to the bare metal or the primer or whatever this had on it underneath paint, but the body shop that did this, Allies Auto Color Recon, they did exposed carbon everywhere. Then they did this amazing tint on all the carbon and cleared everything, hand polished everything, and it looks fantastic. It looks phenomenal. This is one of the best paint jobs I've seen on a car. This is certainly much better than what McLaren would have come out from the factory. So the grand total for the paint and body work was $34,500. And this is with a hefty discount. If this was a retail thing, this would have been 50 or 60 grand, easy. I'm not used to playing on these pay scales. This is too rich for my blood. So I don't know if I'm going to be doing anything like this anytime soon, but I'm glad I did it on this one because it looks so good. But now comes the time to talk about the grand total. There were a few miscellaneous things that I didn't mention to you, but they are accounted for here in my handy dandy spreadsheet. And the total for rebuilding a McLaren 675 LT from the ground up with mechanical and paint work and interior to an absolutely amazing spec is $241,420. This is more money than I've paid for anything ever. This is the most expensive thing I've ever owned, and I'm a little bit scared of driving it on the road, but I feel like it deserves to do so. But what I'm really interested in seeing is if I can go on Auto Tempest and find a used version of one of these for 240 grand, and we can compare them and see who got the better deal. Obviously, this is a rebuilt title, so prices for these are going to be a little bit lower than a clean title example. But this also has bigger turbos, a roof scoop, a custom interior, and a brand new paint job. So I think those are all pluses that kind of put it over the mark of what a regular one would sell for. So one of my favorite features is that you can search nationwide for any car you want to make sure that whatever you're getting is the cheapest one in the country. Right off the bat, we see one for 750 grand. That one is an MSOHS. It's pretty much what we have here, but it has like some different specs. We have another MSOHS for 525,000. Then we have a 675 LT Spider for 350,000. Then we have a blue one that's very close to this blue for $340,000. It is a Spider, so it is a convertible, but honestly, I like this roof scoop way more. This has 14,000 miles on it, and mine only has 7,000 miles on it. We have another Spider for 332. Another Spider for 329, and then we go to the coupes, which this one is, and we have one for 277, then 275, 269, going down, hopefully not too much more, and then 265. And I'm at the bottom of the list, and the cheapest McLaren 675 LT on sale right now is $260,000, which is $20,000 more than I paid for this. And this one is essentially a base model, which my car has a roof scoop and a custom interior and bigger turbos, and it sounds great and it's awesome and it looks like this. And I paid 20 grand less, and I would do that in a heartbeat. And I wasn't worried at all. I swear I was not worried. I was really worried. I was really worried that I spent way too much on this car. So now I can breathe a sigh of relief. Thank you so much for watching this series and allowing me to rebuild this car and share it with all of you. Now, please do go and check out this in the link in the description below. You will love it. I can't guarantee that these will get there in time for Christmas, but if you order right now, there's a really good chance that you'll get one. And there's only 500, and I've numbered and signed all of them. So this is going to a great cause, and please just click. Now I'd like to give a big heartfelt thank you to our sponsor, our series sponsor, Auto Tempest, because without them, none of this would be possible, and they enable me to do all this crazy, silly car stuff, and I hope that we work with them many, many years into the future. They are amazing. So go check them out in the link in the video description below. But until next time, this is me reminding you guys that on cars like these that are the better part of $250,000 but are amazing anyway, you guys should always build them better. And to do that, you need to wrench every day. Thanks for watching.